One spreadsheet file can hold many tabs, and a common, healthy habit is keeping raw data on its own tab, separate from the summaries and dashboards built on top of it. Today we'll create a dedicated sales data tab, pull numbers from it into formulas on our main tab, and run into a genuinely common mistake along the way. A sheet name with a space in it needs single quotes in a formula, or the formula cannot be parsed. We'll also see something that behaves quite differently from last lesson's named ranges once we rename a tab. Use the Insert New Sheet shortcut to add a new tab. With the new tab active, open the Sheet menu, choose Rename, and call it Sales Data, with a space, on purpose. That space is going to matter in a minute. On this new tab, let's add the same monthly figures we built in the last lesson, month and sales headers, then Jan through July, ending at 6,600 for July, so this tab becomes the single source of truth our other tab will pull from. Switch back to the first tab. Select V1, label it January Sales, and in V2, type equals, then a single quote, Sales Data, another single quote, an exclamation mark, then V2, and press Enter. That pulls 4,200 straight from the other tab. Now select W1, label it Total Sales, and in W2, type equals SUM, then a single quote, Sales Data, single quote, exclamation mark, B2:B8, close parentheses, and press Enter. That returns 35,800, the full total, calculated on a completely different tab than the one the raw numbers actually live on. This is exactly the pattern behind keeping a clean summary tab separate from a messy raw data tab. Here's the mistake. Select X1, label it Broken Reference, and in X2, type equals Sales Data, with a space but without single quotes, then an exclamation mark and B2. After you press Enter and select X2 again, Sheet shows a formula parse error. The space makes the unquoted sheet name ambiguous to the formula parser. This is different from typing sales data as one word, which would simply be a different, non-existent name rather than a demonstration of the quoting rule. The fix is exactly what we did back in V2, wrap the sheet name in single quotes. Select X2, and retype it as equals, single quote, Sales Data, single quote, exclamation mark, B2, and press Enter. Select X2 one more time, it now correctly shows 4,200, no error. The practical rule is simple, quote sheet names that contain spaces or punctuation. Using single quotes consistently for readable sheet names also avoids guessing which special characters the formula parser will accept without them. One more thing worth knowing, and it's a pleasant contrast to last lesson's named range problem. Switch to the Sales Data tab, open its Sheet menu, choose Rename, and rename it to Sales Data 2026. Switch back to the first tab, and select V2, W2, and X2. Every formula's text has already updated on its own, now reading Sales Data 2026 instead of Sales Data, and every result is still correct. Unlike a named range, which stayed frozen at its original boundaries until we manually edited it, a tab reference is tracked and rewritten automatically the moment you rename the tab. Reorganizing your tabs later doesn't quietly break anything downstream. Let's recap. Keeping raw data on its own tab and referencing it from elsewhere keeps a spreadsheet organized as it grows. The syntax is single quote, sheet name, single quote, exclamation mark, then the cell or range. Those quotes are required for a sheet name with a space or punctuation, skip them, and the formula cannot be parsed. And unlike fixed named range boundaries, tab references update themselves automatically when you rename the tab, with no manual formula editing required. In the next lesson, we'll go one step further with importrange, pulling data from an entirely different spreadsheet file.